city and quickly evacuate from areas vulnerable to flash flooding.
What should we do if we are already outside?
Evacuate to a safe place, away from construction sites, underground spaces, and areas prone to frequent flooding. If you're driving, do not stop the car. Instead, slowly drive through the flooded area without stopping.
What should we do once the rain stops?
When going into buildings that have been submerged, do not touch electrical facilities and make sure to ventilate, as there is a risk of gas leakage.
We should also reduce preventable damages and prepare for disasters ahead of time by following safety guidelines.
That is correct. You can receive real-time safety information through the Disaster Safety Information mobile app, 안전 디딤돌.
Thank you for all the great information. Remember, your safety is everyone's safety. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The summit, the big summit between South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump finally happened. And, there's been this great build-up to the meetup. And throughout the show today, we're going to be covering the details that are emerging as we speak. Some of the top keywords thus far have been things like shipbuilding, North Korea, and also this phrase, purge or revolution. Well, it was kind of tense at the get-go, but the situation seems to have calmed down and things have turned for the better, at least for now. Let's get started. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, August 26th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. That big meeting that we've been building up to, it finally happened. And I will admit, many of you probably saw some of the social media posts and the news maybe. The meeting started out a little tense, but ended without any major problems or breakthroughs. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung just came out of a summit with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House. The summit lasted for 2 hours and 20 minutes, ending a little after 4 a.m. Korea time. There was a tense moment in the beginning with Trump's Truth Social post about political stability here in South Korea. However, the two leaders seem to have worked it out as maybe a misunderstanding. President Trump greeted President Lee as he exited the car at the White House. Trump congratulated Lee on his election victory, and Lee commended Trump on the Dow Jones going up, his MAGA initiative, and Trump's role as peacemaker in global conflicts. The two also made headway on North Korea, both expressing hopes for peace talks with Kim Jong-un. And so, high notes also included the shipbuilding industry, with Trump saying he hoped that the U.S. would start building ships on American soil with help from South Korea. In the meantime, some things were left up in the air, including trade and U.S. forces stationed in Korea, showing that there are still many details to work out between the two allies. We'll get to the details of the summit in just a bit. And tomorrow, we are going to have a special interview where we extensively cover the summit with our experts. So you're going to have to tune in tomorrow as well. For now, it's time for our text topic. All right, here we go. We've talked about a similar topic before, but every time we talk about learning a foreign language, we need all the tips we can get. So what's your tip for learning a foreign language or what would you like to improve on? 자, 나만의 영어 혹은 외국어 공부법과 고민은 저는 이게 너무 안 돼요 하는 게 분명히 있을 것 같은데. So what might that be? What do you want to improve on? Whether it's listening, and I hear this all the time with most people that I come across here in Korea, it's like, 말하기가 잘 안 돼요 라고 많이 듣습니다. So whatever it is, let me know. 고민 다 여기 털어놓으시고요. You can send in your messages to BEFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 to find our channel, and then you can subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. And from your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050, that's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk. And same thing there, add us as a friend. So 친구 찾기. To find our channel, same thing there, BEFM, 부산 영어 방송, add us, and then you can send in your messages, photos as well. The ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan, well, like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. You can watch again at your leisure. On the radio here in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM, depending on where you are, we are available on the BEFM app and the Popang app as well. Easy to download and free to use. Looking ahead to our morning together, we have Wave Sports with Andrew. That's in hour number 1. Bonnie with Simply Sustainable. That's in hour number 2. Our special interview today, which I find fascinating, this whole topic. Have you heard about this Mercator projection? What is this? We're talking about maps. And the fact is, most of the maps that we see that we're used to seeing, that we've kind of been brainwashed into believing, they are not true to size. And so the African Union has joined the Correct the Map campaign. We're going to find out more about this in hour number 2 with our expert, and I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:05, and this is News Overview. Lee Trump discuss shipbuilding, North Korea, and more at First Summit. The first summit between South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump has concluded, with the two leaders covering issues including a shipbuilding renaissance, North Korea, and trilateral relations with Japan. Special counsel expected to indict Kim Gun-hee Friday. The special counsel, led by Min Jung-gi, wrapped up the fourth questioning of former First Lady Kim Gun-hee and is widely expected to indict her on Friday. Parliament passes revision to Commercial Act after filibuster. The National Assembly yesterday passed the second revision to the Commercial Act, seeking to boost protection for minority shareholders after the People Power Party, or PPP's, filibuster. Heat-related patients exceed 4,000 this summer. The number of heat-related patients has reached 4,048 as of Sunday, with heat-related deaths reported even past Choseol, a solar cycle usually known to bring cooler weather. Five journalists killed in Israeli strike on Gaza hospital. At least 20 people, including 5 journalists and 4 health workers, have been killed as Israel conducted a double strike on a hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now Busan. We have Sejin in the studio. We're going to go over the latest of Busan news. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, today we're talking about something that is, I think, dear and close to all of our hearts, like learning a second language. So is there something that you want to work on when it comes to a second language, or do you have any good tips?
I'm not the best person to ask, but if I have to give,
Yes.
I love shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yes, I love. My mother always was like, please stop talking. So I in a car whenever we go somewhere,
Yes.
I always mutter to myself.
Oh, to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I'm here.
Ah, so it worked.
Yeah.
Shadowing.
Yeah.
Yes, mimicking shadowing. What a great tip. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to jump into our first Busan news. I hear we have some major updates from the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. Some big changes are on the horizon for our city, Busan.
Yeah, this was exclusive from Busan일bo. Minister Jeon Jae-soo has said that from next month, the ministry will be officially searching for a site for its new Busan headquarters.
Right.
He said the key conditions for choosing the site is ensuring what he called integration, bringing everything together.
Right. And when exactly is the ministry planning to start operating here in Busan?
The ministry will complete its move to the temporary building and hold a flag hanging ceremony by 31 December, officially beginning the Busan era of the ministry on January 1st.
Ah, January
year.
1st, right.
Yes.
So this is quite symbolic, like a fresh start for the new year. What else is part of this massive move?
The move includes not just the ministry, but also a maritime court, the Southeast Regional Investment Corporation, private shipping companies with H&M, and affiliated agencies as well.
Yes. Oh, so well, there's a lot to relocate. Any incentives for companies to follow?
Minister Jeon said they will form relocation council
Yes.
to expedite relocation,
Yes.
involving the government, local authorities, and the shipping sector. And they're also pushing for special law to offer incentives to relocating staffs and companies.
And I hear that there is something big coming for Arctic shipping. Is that correct?
Yes, John also confirmed that trial shipping on Arctic routes are set to begin next summer. To support this, they will provide construction subsidies for ice-class vessels and reduce port fees for ships using the route.
I see. So it sounds like a lot of structural reform happening. Well, what about leadership inside the ministry?
They're introducing a dual vice minister system, one focusing on Arctic route and the marine economy, and the other on fisheries policy.
Well, I do remember we talked about a maritime court. So what's happening there?
So both Busan and Incheon would host maritime court, though the details like the appeal structure and exact court level are still under discussion.
Yes, and lastly, what about the Busan Opera House? Because there's been talk that it's been stalled.
It is due to lack of funding. But Minister Jeon said they were working closely with Busan Port Authority and the city to find solutions, possibly reinvesting development profit.
I see. So from Arctic Routes to Opera House, it does look like Busan's going to be busier and livelier than ever, right?
Yeah, the ministry's new Busan chapter is just about to begin.
All right. Moving on, we're going to talk about another big move shaking up Korea's startup scene, this time from the capital to Busan.
Yeah, this time is Bi전에쿼티파트너스. It's a venture capital firm based in Seoul. And they have decided to shift their headquarters all the way to Busan.
Okay, so this is once again a big shift. What prompted this move?
It's a result of months of effort by Busan Startup Investment Agency. They've been working since its launch in April to attract a leading firm to come to the city.
Yes, so it looks like their efforts finally paying it off. What can you tell us about Vision Equity?
So they were founded back in 2019, and since then they've launched 13 investment funds worth nearly 191.2 billion won in total.
Yes.
Right now, they're managing about 168.3 billion won across 11 of those funds,
Okay.
with investment in semiconductors, health and beauty, manufacturing, you name it.
So it does sound like a very diverse portfolio. Did they have any ties to Busan before?
They did actually. The manager partner Lee Dong-chul has a history of starting venture firms in Busan. He's also backed some major startups here, so he knows the local scenes quite well. So based on his history and investment experience, he led the relocation.
I see. So when are they officially making the move to Busan?
They will be moving into the TM Center in Jeonpo-dong, Busan Jingu district by the end of this month. From there, they plan to focus their investment around Busan.
Oh, well, that's coming up very soon. Thanks for letting us know about this one. All right, Busan Port is rolling out something a bit different. We're talking about clean, green, and made in Korea.
Yeah, they're bringing in electric yard tractors, no emissions, and fully Korean-made.
Ah, well, that is a big step for port logistics. So what's driving the change?
It's part of carbon-free port project by the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries and the Busan Port Authority, or BPA. This is the first real step.
Question. So have they tested out these tractors?
Yep, they've been running test drives at Busan's new port Terminal 4 since July and checked everything from the performance, durability to battery safety and charging convenience.
Yes. So how do they compare to, I guess, the usual diesel tractors?
Compared to diesel ones, these electric ones can completely eliminate green gas emissions 100%.
Does sound good. What is the next step, though?
On September 12th, there's going to be a meeting with terminal operators and partners. And then they will open applications for operators to bring in electric tractors.
Well, what about for companies that are switching over? Are they going to get any help?
Yeah, if they swap diesel or LNG models for electric,
Yes.
they'll get 50% of the cost covered, split between the government and BPA.
Okay.
Applications open from September 19.
So it does sound like the city's really getting behind this green initiative, right?
Totally. BPA's president said the trials will prove these tractors are reliable in the field, and they're hoping lots of operators join the subsidy program to expedite transition to carbon-free cargo handling.
Yes, indeed. Sounds like a good step forward. All right. So next we're going to talk about something, I guess, a little on the lighter side, something with laughter.
Always. The Busan International Comedy Festival is taking place here in Busan.
Yes, and when's it kicking off?
It runs from August 29 to September 7th, and it will be across the city, including Mexico and Gunamlo in Haeundae.
Yes.
The opening ceremony will be hosted by comedian Bang Myung-soo at 7 p.m., starting with LED celebration performance of the media performance team 생동감 crew, Lee Myung-hwa, the winner of the comedy YouTube Grand Prize, the American performance team Puppet, and the gag concert team will be joining.
Oh, there's like a nice mix going on. Anybody else in the lineup?
You can meet the gag concert that you couldn't see on the broadcast,
Okay.
such as a laughter parade of the comedy combo, the comedy all-star stage, and the comedy show called 희극상에.
What about new programs this year?
That's comedy book concert, and which will be taking place at Dongsa University Design Idea Lab. Comedians who have published books, such as comedian Lee Hong-yeol, who is going to talk to audience and have an autograph session. And there's also Comedy Street and the open comedy concert and more. So if you're interested in comedy, you can join in for free, and free is my favorite number.
Free is your favorite number, indeed. Well, thank you for reporting on all the local news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sajin.
Thank you.
I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
It is now 7:17. Here's your traffic report. First up, let's talk about Gwanmun-daero. It looks congested from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. Also, back up on the Dongso overpass from Hwangryong Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate. And there is some traffic on Jungwang-daero from Samjeon intersection to Seomyeon intersection. It's also looking slow on Luno Samsung-daero from Myeongji underpass to Shino Bridge. Currently, it's 27 degrees here in Busan. The daytime high will go up to 32. There is a chance of showers in the afternoon. Busan City is under a special heatwave report, 폭염특보. Looking at the weather across the nation, rain across much of the country with up to 50 millimeters of rain per hour in parts of Gyeonggi, Chungcheong, and Jeonbuk. But the heat will persist with a daytime high going up to 34 in some areas. And this was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, it's been a busy morning,
It's
right?
been a long morning. I feel like it's about 11 a.m. just from how long I've been up. But
Yes.
is it 7? All right, it's 7.
Right. Well, before we dive into a lot of news, we do want to get your take on, tips, things that you do well in order to enhance your second language skills, or maybe something that you want to work on.
I want to work on my third language, Spanish, and I think I've said it on air before. Listening's okay, reading's fine. Can't speak or to save my life. So I do try to fill my algorithm, my social media algorithm with some productive little shorts, because I think I can comprehend Spanish in about 1 to 2 minute increments. And I do recommend that for English learners as well, because I don't know, people get real ambitious and they try to listen to TED Talks, which are 20 minutes long.
Yes.
Although always tune into Morning Wave in Busan for all 2 hours, but then just fill it into little, suit your attention span, which is so short these days. So yeah, go for reels and shorts and the short forms to kind of get a digestible dose of English
in increments.
and Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that great tip. We're going to dive into the Lee Jae-myung-Donald Trump summit. There was a tense moment before the summit with this social media post by President Donald Trump.
Right. So if you stayed up relatively late last night onto early this morning, this is probably where a lot of people kind of left off and went to bed. So about 3 hours before the summit was due to start, President Trump posted on his Truth Social page, quote, "What is happening in Korea right now? It looks like a purge," which means 숙청 in Korean, or a revolution. So he continued on this post saying, "In such a situation, we cannot do business there," and added that he will meet with the new president at the White House today. So there were concerns, and he actually expanded on this at a different event, an executive order signing event before the summit, detailing that South Korea, he has information on South Korea raiding churches and that it allegedly collected information on U.S. military bases, referring to the special counsel raids.
Right.
So upon President Lee Jae-myung's arrival at the White House, Trump requested further explanation pretty much from the get-go. And he explained that this is a part of a parliament-appointed special counsel investigation.
Okay.
But then they are not investigating the U.S. bases directly. However, they were only checking over the Korean military's control system inside the U.S. bases.
And
So again, this did raise concerns of a potential Oval Office ambush, because it wouldn't be the first one, as as we saw with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky or even South African President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Right.
But things did soften considerably, with the first summit lasting about 140 minutes. So the first part of the summit, the very public one that we are getting news about, was about 50 minutes an open discussion in front of the press. And the mood here definitely positive, with multiple jokes and laughs being thrown in both directions. So there was even an impromptu gift before President Lee Jae-myung entered the Oval Office. He signed the guest book at the White House with this fountain pen. And President Trump commented that he liked that fountain pen sort of multiple times, and he immediately gifted the pen to President Trump. And Trump, in return, after the summit, gifted E an autographed print of the photo they took at the beginning at the Oval Office.
Yes.
And then things moved on to a closed-door meeting in the cabinet room with a working lunch, where discussions about trade and modernization of the alliance likely took place.
That's right. And we're going to go back to the public statements the two presidents made in front of the press, though.
Right. So the main focus here was on North Korea and the possibility of President Trump meeting with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. So President Lee Jae-myung asked Trump to meet with Kim, to which Trump responded he would like to meet with him this year if possible.
Okay.
And also Lee loaded Trump with compliments on this front about Trump's role as a peacemaker, not only here but with other global conflicts, and said that Lee would also like to see a Trump Tower built in North Korea, and that ultimately he would like to play golf there, which drew a smile from the U.S. president. And Lee stated that it won't be easy for him, Lee Jae-myung himself, to get involved to resolve the North Korea situation, and added that Trump was the only one who can solve the situation, saying that Lee will play pacemaker to Trump's role as a peacemaker. Definitely a bit of a rhyme and alliteration there.
Yes.
And Trump did remind everyone about the two summits he had with Kim Jong-un, and said that probably apart from his sister, Kim Yo-jong, Trump knows Kim better than anyone else.
Well, another major part of the discussions was the shipbuilding industry.
Right, so this was definitely the positive front. This whole thing, MAXA, right? Make American shipbuilding great again. Here, both Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump said that they will talk at length and in depth about Korea's contribution to the U.S. shipbuilding industry. Trump expressed hopes of a resurgence in the American shipbuilding industry with South Korea's cooperation. And also Trump kind of, let's say, snuck in that South Korea needs energy and U.S. has ample supplies in Alaska. This was definitely an issue brought up during the trade negotiations.
Right.
And speaking of trade, Trump said after the summit that while they, referring to South Korea, had some issues regarding the trade negotiation, the two sides have decided to stick to the previous agreement.
Yes.
And to that end, the presidential spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung said during a briefing that there was no mention during the summit of South Korea potentially opening its market to additional U.S. agricultural products.
I see. Well, we're going to turn our attention to relations with Japan. So what was said on that front?
Right. So an interesting comment from President Trump. He mentioned the comfort women issue, what we colloquially call Japanese wartime sexual slavery, saying that he thought this issue was resolved on multiple occasions in the past, but that it apparently wasn't. So he kind of took this took this attitude of let past lie in the past. So Lee Jae-myung agreed in part at least, saying that the Korea-Japan relationship needs to be handled for the Korea-U.S. relationship to move forward and develop.
Yes.
He stated that he met with Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru ahead of the U.S. summit to handle and wrap up some of the issues that he referring to Donald Trump, would be concerned about.
Right.
And with other diplomatic issues, the two leaders also discussed China, with Trump's joking that he thinks it's possible wasn't a joke, for him to visit China within the year. But Trump also jokes and said, would President Lee Jae-myung like to ride with him in Air Force One to visit China together? To which he said he would love to work on that.
Yes. And on another front, President Trump, I hear, had a fairly subdued tone on the whole U.S. forces in Korea issue.
Right. So, of course, we don't know what was discussed behind closed doors after this 50-minute open summit. However, when a reporter asked Trump if he was considering reducing the U.S. forces in Korea, Trump said he doesn't want to talk about that now because, quote, we are friends.
Yes.
But he did say, and this was an interesting bit, he wants to ask South Korea to give the U.S. ownership of land that U.S. bases are located in Korea. He stated that the U.S. spent huge amounts of money on the forts and bases, and while South Korea did make contributions, he wants to get rid of this lease system that we're on and secure ownership of the land.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get further details on the big summit with our special interview with our expert. That's coming up tomorrow, so once again, tune in for that. All right, we're going to bring it back to Korea for next story. The special counsel has summoned both former First Lady Kim Gun-hee and this shaman known as Konjin yesterday.
Right, so the Minjung-gi Special Counsel summoned former First Lady Kim Gun-hee for the fourth time yesterday. They had prepared some 100 pages worth of questions for the former First Lady, but so far she refuses to basically answer most of them, exercising her right to silence. The council is therefore ramping up pressure against Kim with more evidence and statements rather than trying to get things out of her. They've secured against her some evidence in the bribery and influence peddling case involving the shaman Konjin and the Unification Church.
Yes.
However, the clock is ticking because they only have until the 31st, that's this coming Sunday, to keep Kim in custody. So they're considering indictment reportedly by Friday.
That's right. And one of these pressure tactics is this shaman known as Konjin.
Right. So this is Jeon Sung-bae, aka Shaman Konjin. He's known to be this alleged link between Kim Gun-hee and the Unification Church. So he faces allegations of having passed on a diamond necklace and a Chanel handbag from an official at the church to Kim, and also conveying favors from the church. So this would have involved support for the church's development projects in Cambodia, the church acquiring the news channel YTN, and inviting members of the church to the inauguration ceremony. So he has actually previously denied allegations saying that he did receive the goods from the church, but that he never passed them on to the former First Lady.
All right. Well, on the same day, the special counsel, the Insurrection Special Counsel, conducted multiple raids.
Right. So this is for a different council led by Cho Eun-seok. The special counsel launched a series of raids across the Justice Ministry, the Supreme Prosecutor's Office, Seoul Detention Center, and former Justice Minister Park Sung-jae's home. So this is to gain evidence showing that former Justice Minister Park and former Prosecutor General Shim Woo-jung were allegedly involved in the martial law declaration last year.
Right.
So Park is one of the 6 cabinet members that former President Yoon Suk-yeol called in before he declared martial law, and he faces allegations of having given directives linked to martial law.
Yes.
Park is also known to have spoken to Shim Woo-jung on 3 different occasions that night, including a prosecutor having spoken to an Army Defense Intelligence Command, and after that having gone to the National Election Commission office.
I see. So we're going to circle back to a U.S.-related issue for a final story. And I saw this and I was like, really? Is this real? Well, Korea Post has suspended most packages going into the U.S. due to tariffs.
Right, and these include small individual packages. So Korea Post, aka South Korea's post office, they have suspended sending parcels and packages to the United States. So Korea Post is under the Ministry of Science and ICT, said last Thursday that it will suspend air mail to the U.S., and that started yesterday, actually.
Yes.
Express mail services, abbreviated to EMS packages, with the exception of documents that are not subject to tariffs, are going to stop starting today. So this comes as the U.S. has ended its duty-free treatment of low value, so smaller imports. So until now, goods that are valued under $800 entered the U.S. without tariffs through international mail.
Right.
However, under the new rules, all incoming postal items, except again for letters and documents, must be declared, and they face a 15% tariff. This is upon President Trump's executive order eliminating the tariff exemption. So the reasoning was that the U.S. believes that smugglers were using this, taking advantage of this as a loophole to bring in drugs and other counterfeit items.
I see.
So upon this, Korea Post says that its current international postal network cannot support the processing of every single item with custom declarations. So they offered private express mail services, the premium services, as alternatives. Here's the thing, though. These private companies don't allow parcels of food like kimchi. So if you are sending goods to, international students, family members, there's currently no way to send food items to the U.S., so please be aware.
All right. Thanks for giving us a heads up. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. So thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
We are due for our first song break of the morning. So here is Bam Bam. This is by Camila Cabello featuring Ed Sheeran.
You said you hated the ocean, but you're surfing now. I said I love you for life, but I just sold our house. We were kids at the start, I guess we're grown-ups now. Couldn't ever imagine even having doubts, but not everything works out. No, now I'm out dancing with strangers. You could be casually dating, and it's all changing so fast. Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. Yeah, love came around and it knocked me down, but I'm back on my feet. Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. I was barely standing, but now I'm dancing. He's all over me. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Así es la vida. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum.
It's been a hell of a year, thank God we made it out. Yeah, we were riding away and trying not to drown. And on the surface I held it together, but underneath I sort of came unwound. Where would I be? You're all that I need. My world, baby, you hold me down. You always hold me down. Well, I've been the breaker and broken. Every mistake turns to moments. Wouldn't take anything back.
Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. Yeah, love came around and it knocked me down, but I'm back on my feet. Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. I was barely standing, but now I'm dancing. He's all over me. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Póngale azúcar, mi gente. Sigue bailando, hey. Sigue bailando.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Sigue bailando.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Sigue bailando. Sigue bailando.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Sigue bailando. Sigue bailando. Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. Yeah, love came around and it knocked me down, but I'm back on my feet. Así es la vida, así, yeah, that's just life, baby. I was barely standing, but now I'm dancing. She's all over me. Now I'm dancing.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Now I'm dancing.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Now I'm dancing.
Keep dancing,
And now I'm dancing.
Keep dancing, yeah.
Now I'm dancing.
Keep dancing,
It's time for Wave Sports. We have Andrew with a hat on in the radio. A very lovely hat, I might add.
Jeez.
No, I haven't seen that hat before, that's why.
I've
it
never
new?
worn this hat here.
No.
Oh. Why am I wearing this hat?
I wonder. Why are you?
You don't know? You don't know what hat it is?
The Giants. Duh.
Sounds like
No, I
she's-
thought like something happened.
Oh my
like,
goodness.
of course I know it's the
I
Lotte
lost all
Giants.
my hair. It's all gone.
Oh,
No.
going bald.
Yeah, well, no, that probably eventually is going to happen, but that's all right. But yeah, no, what's going on with you? Besides
I'm
just
okay.
bulldozing over me
Yes.
there. Oh my goodness. Just trying to show some support for the local team.
Yes.
And I get trampled for it.
And how are they doing?
Oh, we're going to jump right into it.
Because
Okay.
I want, I need to know. I need to know because the last time, people were saying like they were on a losing streak.
Losing streak.
Yeah.
I think a losing streak is like if
4 or
somebody is
5?
streaky or it's a streak is 4, 6.
Yeah.
I'll even stretch that to 7.
How many
A
are we talking?
catastrophe streak.
Of what?
Into the, I don't know, throwing your season down the drain streak. I don't know, that would be what I would call it. But yes, after enduring a harrowing 12-game losing streak.
12?
Yes.
12-game losing streak.
Making it the team's longest such skid in 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah, there was also 2 ties in there, or draws, if you want to call them draws. I usually think of a draw as for football or soccer, but not for baseball. So I guess that they didn't lose all of those games in a row. So maybe that wasn't so much a streak. I'm just trying to make up excuses. Sorry, boys, I try to help you out here.
Right.
But there's no sugarcoating this.
Leslie calls it a slump. You're being generous, Leslie.
Leslie,
you're such a kind person.
Yeah.
You're so lovely.
That's way too kind. But I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. All right. The Lotte Giants finally turned the tide this past weekend, or not even on the weekend. We'll just go to Sunday. With a resounding 17-5 victory.
Is that even a baseball score? 17-5?
It's one of those things. I got probably 4 or 5 text messages from people saying, hey, do we need to remind them that they don't need to make up all those runs that they missed in one game?
I know. It's
do you know what I mean?
Why couldn't you do it in the other games?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Put some in the bag. Save them. Yeah, over the NC Dinos out at Changwon's NC Park on Sunday. Now, this offensive explosion was led by Park Chang-hyung, who went 4 for 5 and 4 RBIs and a run scored, and also Victor Reyes, who chipped in with a 3-hit performance, including a home run with 4 RBIs. And he kicked things off in the first inning with a 3-run shot. Something he did just a few games prior. I think it was on Thursday or Friday night as well.
Yes.
But, this here streak, I don't know if you stopped following the Giants after maybe lost 3. Kat tends to do that.
No.
She's a very finicky fan.
I'm not a fair weather kind of fan.
Oh, says the lady who canceled her TV subscription because Spurs were not doing so well last year or the year before.
I just couldn't do it. It was just too painful to watch them.
That was one of the funniest. I love those conversations.
Right.
Yeah, but I do feel bad for the Lotte Giants because there were games they were in, but if this would have been 2 seasons ago or even last year, I would have expected this. But this year, you and I have gone back and forth about this many times where we've been like, no, it does look like they've turned the corner.
Right.
That the late game collapses, the pitching changes that just resulted in the team falling apart weren't happening. And we were like, okay.
We're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Can we get used to this?
And we said, we have to make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves too much. And I think that is maybe what we did. But I think anybody would have.
Yes.
They were separating themselves from that bottom half of the pack. And now they are tied for 4th.
Yes.
Only a game away from 5th. A game and a half, I think it is, away from 6th.
No.
And fall baseball is looking,
questionable.
Yeah, so, with this game, I love this here. We're getting active in the studio. I love it.
Someone's mad throwing their phone down.
No, that was great because it was, that was talking about Reyes is crushing his 3-run homer in the first inning.
Yes.
And then it was also, in the 4th inning, I got home. I was actually out with the boys, and then we got home, and we were watching it, and they just kept scoring run after run after run. I was like, whoa.
We don't need all those.
Calm it down. 8 runs in the 4th inning, I believe it was. It was pretty amazing.
Yes.
So the result not only snapped the losing streak, but also offered I would say that critical morale boost that they need moving forward. So maybe it wasn't just grinding out a game. It was like, that was a statement.
That was a resounding victory.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So, well, who's on deck?
Yeah.
What do we have in store?
Who's on second?
Yeah.
What's on first?
I know.
So Lotte kick off a crucial 6-game homestand beginning tonight at Sajik. Yes, I did say that. It is 6 games in a row. The TUES are here until Thursday. Not surprisingly, lots of tickets still available. But I also think the heat has been, a culprit in that. Like, there's a lot of people were trying to stay away. But the midweek games do start a half hour later. So If you go in the midweek, it might be a bit cooler because you're not going to get that sunshine. But check it out. It should be a good one because, KTUES are right there with the Lotte Giants. And then the Busan Bears roll into town. Now, this not only offers a chance to solidify their morale boost, like I just mentioned, but an opportunity to climb back up those standings against two teams that they, earlier in the season, they wouldn't even have held their breath about. So this is a chance for them. I would say if they can get 4 of 6,
yes,
that would be amazing.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
And William checking in with us saying,
What's going on, William?
Your Giants, meaning the Lotte Giants, and our Giants, meaning the in San Francisco,
yes,
are cosmically linked, he says. When San Francisco wins, Lotte wins and vice versa. So did you go on a 12-game losing streak as well?
No. And especially Lee Jong-woo he just had his streak snapped at 10 games. He had a 10-game hit streak. So, I was actually, I had to think kind of want to talk about him. Then he snapped his streak and I was like, you're out.
All right. Well, we're going to move on from baseball. So where are we going to next?
We're going to stay right here on the peninsula here. There's a massive event taking place in Muju.
What's happening in Muju?
Yeah, exactly. So this Friday through Sunday at the T1 Arena in Muju, at the Taekwondo 1 lights up with the Global Taekwondo's fiercest competition. It is the 2025 World Taekwondo Grand Prix Challenge. Now, this is it's not, I guess if it's a World Grand Prix, you're going to expect a lot of athletes.
Yes.
Right? But it is 331 athletes representing 300 countries.
Wow.
Now, we just had the Cross World Championship that took place down in Jeju-do last week. And then this happening this week. Honestly, it's every week there's something different happening in this country. And then also not necessarily in the big cities either.
Yes.
Which I think is fantastic because it does spread the love, if you will.
I like it. I love the fact that it's not always Seoul-centric.
Yeah, no, that's more for Busan, please.
Yes.
We like more for Busan.
Yes.
So leading the charge are some of the world's best, including Olympic gold medalist Faraz Katusi, Altia Loren, and Taejun Park, as well as silver medalist Svetlana Osporova. There's lots of more athletes coming in that people, if you're a fan of the sport or you watch the Olympics or the Asian Games,
yes,
you're going to recognize some of these games. And I'm sure, it'll be a very... anybody in attendance is going to be cheering heavily for the hometown favorites. But if you're looking to go up to Muju for this, if you're leaving from Busan, it's only about a 3-hour drive. So it might be.
So you're driving?
I'm actually contemplate going up. I don't contemplate going up. I don't have a media pass or anything like that.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of it because I just think that it's something different. Also, I'm assuming the aircon is pretty good in the building.
So important.
Yeah, and the building looks super cool.
Yes.
It is only for Taekwondo. I'm sure maybe they might use it for other things, but that's why it was built.
Yes.
And it might be a nice drive this time of year.
All right. Well, sounds good. Let's hop over to the MLS.
Yes.
Because you know who's there?
Who's there? David Beckham.
What's his name? Lionel Messi?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the guy is there.
Yes.
He still gets the most hype, I would say. All right. But in just his third MLS appearance, Heung-min lit up the score sheet, netting his first goal for LAFC with a stunning direct free kick against FC Dallas in a 1-1 draw. I was kind of surprised when this happened because I didn't know he was going to be on free kicks. He's only been with the team for
a few weeks.
A short, maybe 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
But again, this is a position where you don't need to get used to playing with your teammates. It's just you, the ball, and the net, essentially. So I think that's where he thrives, if you will.
At this point, because,
Yeah. They need something.
Doesn't need help.
But this was just 6 minutes into the match, setting the tone for a world. It was a world-class strike. I think
it was nice.
I don't think anyone was surprised, but they were delightfully satisfied. We'll say. All right, and he did look awfully cute after scoring. He was very, very happy. Now we're gonna get to this is from the MLS No 2 channel where they're gonna talk about he's gonna score the goal, and then they're going to talk to him afterwards about, what needs to be done to get ready for the game this coming weekend.
All right.
Son over the wall. Son has delivered.
I mean, we have to recover well, especially with the long traveling. We had the three away games, and then it was really tough. But look, now we have a full week to recover and then prepare well for the important game. And then I can't wait to play home game because it's my first home game for the LAFC. So and also against a good opponent. So yeah, we have to prepare well and recover well and to get 3 points.
Yeah. So this year, he mentioned there that it's only his third game. The travel, and we were just mentioning off air there that it's definitely got to be different. But again, when I think about it, he didn't play on a team that never played in Europe. Mm-hmm. So they did, they won the Europa League last year. They definitely traveled to the depths of Europe in the Europa League, more so than when you're in the Champions League, because you go to some places that are out in the middle of nowhere that you're like, how are these teams actually in Europe? You know what I mean? But it is a bit different traveling across the United States.
It's a vast country.
It is. It's massive. Not as big as Canada, but it is pretty big. But yeah, so he makes his long-awaited LAFC home debut this weekend at BMO Stadium after opening his MLS account with a stunning free kick. Fans are eager to, see him shine in Los Angeles, and I think that it's going to be absolutely electric there. It's something. I think it's been actually good for him to be away for the first couple games to get his footing. He hasn't had to worry about anything about home. Not finding an apartment. I'm sure he's already got that anyway. But everything about being in LA has been in the back of his head. He doesn't have to think about it.
Right.
Now going back there, he's got an assist. He scored a goal. The team's doing not bad. So he can just hopefully have a good day.
He needs some service, though. I just said it.
Yeah, that's the MLS in general.
Yeah.
I think,
We need some service up there.
Exactly.
And then his new celly, his celebration with a camera snapshot, but now with the LA.
Yeah.
My hometown. I had to do it. Sorry.
I thought he was doing there's another team in England. It started out as just something like an online team. It's called #United. And I was like, is he doing the hashtag? I didn't know what he's doing.
He's doing the LA. LA.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Sticking with soccer, it looks like Sonny's going to have a new national teammate once he rejoins the national team. So this was big news yesterday.
Yeah. So Heung-min 미안해.
홍명보.
Yeah. He made an announcement yesterday that a lot of people were quite surprised about, but it has been in the works for weeks.
Yes.
The Jens Gastrop, a 22-year-old midfielder born in Dusseldorf to a German father and a South Korean mother, is going to be in a national team for the upcoming friendlies against the United States and Mexico. Now, this is something that we saw, I guess it was with the World Baseball Classic, of a player of mixed descent coming over and playing for the baseball team.
Right.
And now we're seeing it with the soccer team. We've seen in previous times that, they've tried to nationalize players from different countries to play for the soccer team.
Right.
And then, the government has said no. This is a different kind of story.
Yes.
All right. He does have citizenship. So it's not, they're not just making exceptions and bringing players in to boost the team.
I mean, we see it all over the world, though.
It's if you look at the German team that won the World Cup, a few years ago now.
Yes,
there's players of Polish descent. There's Austrian descent. There's all different nationality backgrounds. That make up these teams. And, you look at, teams, just look at hockey in Europe. It's really funny where, I have friends from Canada that, their great-grandfather was from this country. They were able to go and play there because they could get a passport. You know what I mean? So I think it's it's amazing. It's also something that, I'm really interested to see how fans are going to take to him, because I'm not saying they're going to be like, hey, you're not Korean or anything like that. I'm just saying it's something new. It's something different.
Right.
And I hope he gets off to a good start.
I do too.
Because if not, I think there might be a bit of backlash in the sense of, I'm not saying that he's taken someone's place, but he's in the spotlight. Do you know what I mean?
But I hope that's not the case.
No, I don't think it will be.
He
I think
earned it.
Exactly. But I think it's if any athlete that's in the spotlight, they're gonna be under a lot of scrutiny.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the magnifying glass would be a little bit more so on him. But I think the team hopefully are going to rally around him and welcome with open arms. And,
yes.
I think I haven't heard any comments from Heung-min yet, but I'm sure he will be asked in the coming weeks about this. It'll be interesting to see what he says. But it's, any of the players, a lot of the players do play overseas now and some in Germany. So it'll be interesting to see what those players who have played against him will have to say about.
And Sonny speaks German.
I totally forgot that.
Yeah, he's
there you
fluent.
go.
Yes, well, we're going to have to call it a wrap for today. We got through all the wave sports.
Finally. And the hat. For listeners, this is an old school Lotte Giants hat, and that's why I was hopefully bringing back some love for them.
The vibes. All
there
right.
you go. Yeah.
Well, we'll check in with you next week. So thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.
All right. We have, of course, our second hour coming up, too. So in the meantime, let's end it with this song. This is Brown City by Brown Eyed Soul. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
꺼지기 전에 희미하게 남아 사라질 듯 남아 아직은 이 거리를 밝혀주는 지금 갈색빛으로 물든 이 도시에 남아 이 거리에 남아 세상을 바라보며 걸어가네 카페 간판 위로 깜빡이는 불빛 가쁜 걸음으로 집에 가는 사람 극장 앞에 벌써 불을 밝힌 노점들 가로등이 켜진 꺼진 불빛 아래 켜진 달빛 아래 어둠을 밀어내듯 밝아오는 지금 골목길을 뛰노는 고동빛에 물든 아이들의 얼굴 가만히 저 멀리서 바라보네 술집 불빛 아래 사람들의 웃음 저녁장을 보는 시장 속에 풍경 한껏 멋을 부린 차를 타는 남자 아직 혼자 남아 일을 하는 바람가기
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
김밥가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. We begin with Spotlight News. Lee Jae-myung, Trump discussed shipbuilding, North Korea, and more at first summit. The first summit between South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump has concluded, with the two leaders covering issues including a shipbuilding renaissance, North Korea, and trilateral relations with Japan. President Lee Jae-myung said he hoped Trump will open a new path for peace on the Korean Peninsula as peacemaker, with Trump adding he hoped to meet North Korea's Kim Jong-un this year. Trump also responded positively about prospects of him attending the APEC summit in Gyeongju this fall. President Lee, after the summit, said that South Korea will increase its defense budget, adding that the two leaders saw eye to eye on modernizing the alliance in line with the current security environment. Special counsel expected to indict Kim Gun-hee Friday. The special counsel led by Min Jung-gi wrapped up the fourth questioning of former First Lady Kim Gun-hee and is widely expected to indict her on Friday. The counsel notified Kim to appear again tomorrow after Kim reportedly exercised her right to silence to most of the questions asked by the counsel yesterday. Kim's arrest warrant sets her detention period to until August 31st, leading to speculation that the prosecution may indict her as early as Friday and continue investigations under detention. The counsel is also said to be considering indicting her husband, former President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has refused to comply with the summons requests. Parliament passes revision to Commercial Act after filibuster. The National Assembly yesterday passed the second revision to the Commercial Act, seeking to boost protection from minority shareholders after the People Power Party or PPP's filibuster. The bill passed with 180 yeas and 2 abstentions, with PPP lawmakers boycotting the vote in protest. The ruling Democratic Party, or DP, argues the bill protects the interests of shareholders, whereas the PPP says it stifles corporations. The revision requires listed corporations with over 2 trillion won in assets to have a cumulative voting system and stipulates that there should be at least 2 audit committee members nominated separately. Heat-related patients exceeds 4,000 this summer. The number of heat-related patients has reached 4,048 as of Sunday, with heat-related deaths reported even past Cheoseol, a solar cycle usually known to bring cooler weather. The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, or KDCA, said that this is the highest figure since 2018. The number of heat-related patients has already exceeded the total from last year's. Heat-related deaths came to 26 this year. Persistent heat has been blazing down with heat advisories issued nationwide, with heavy rain coming down in the central area. Five journalists killed in Israeli strike on Gaza hospital. At least 20 people, including 5 journalists and 4 health workers, have been killed as Israel conducted a double strike on a hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. The news outlets, including Reuters and AP, confirmed the death of the journalist. Footage from the scene shows a second strike hitting rescue workers on the scene for help. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the incident was a tragic mishap and said that the military will conduct a thorough investigation. This was Spotlight News. It's time for Waga Waga. That means Haley's back in the studio with us. Welcome back.
Hello again.
Yes. Well, for our first Woggly issue, civil service or civil servants, that was like one of the most popular career fields for young people just not too far ago, but this is taking a drastic turn in the past few years.
Definitely. So 공무원 was certainly one of the most coveted fields, with so many people register for classes to study for the civil service exam.
Yes.
However, that figure has reached the lowest point this year. So this is according to Statistics Korea's survey on economically inactive population, or young job seekers between the ages of 18 to 34. So as of May of this year, there were 129,000 young people studying for the regular civil service exams. That includes grades 7 or 9 till 9급, firefighting and police positions. And this is down by 30,000 compared to last year.
Wow.
Right, so a huge drop. So this figure marks the 4th consecutive year of declines and the lowest since record-taking began back in 2017. So if we look at the general graph, the figures of these civil servant hopefuls, they started at 306,000 back in 2017. It did dip to 240,000 levels in 2018 and 2019, rebounded hugely during the pandemic because private corporations were just not hiring.
Right.
That reached a peak of 313,000. But then it's since declined almost by half in the last 4 years.
Right. So, and it's not just for the level 7 and 9 civil service, right?
Right. So if you actually go up to level 5, grade 5 public officials examination, what we call 행정고시, and also exams for labor attorneys and accountants, those have also decreased in the past 4 years. Same pattern with public corporations, 공기업 and teachers. But by comparison, those seeking jobs in the private sector, that's been on the rise, 230,000 this May, increase of about 41,000 in 1 year.
I see.
So basically the gaps we're seeing from public service, we're definitely seeing that go into the private sector.
Right. So we need to know, what could be the reason for this decline in popularity of civil service jobs?
Biggest, wages. So according to a government survey, over 27,000 civil servants last year, that survey pointed to relatively low wages being the top reason at 88%.
Wow.
By the way, multiple answers were allowed. Others, work-related stress, the organization culture from excessive public complaints, the almighty 민원, right, at 40%, and some 16% pointing to the rigid, very vertical, top-down work culture.
Right.
So actually going back to the wage issue, the government recently announced a 3% raise in the civil servants' wages, marking the highest rate of increase in 8 years. And this is, by the way, a reflection of accumulated inflation and the fact that public officials did not get a raise during the pandemic.
I see. So hence, kind of now the unpopularity compared to years before of civil servants. Let's move on and talk about this. A court has made a ruling on discrimination between full-time and contract workers.
Right. So the whole point between 정규직 and 비정규직 being one of the more contentious issues in the domestic labor market.
Yes.
So a corporation apparently gave incentives or bonuses to its full-time 정규직 workers who retired. But then for the contract workers who retired on the very same day, didn't. And Seoul Administrative Court ruled that this is indeed an act of discrimination. So let's get into the case itself. It involves Hyundai ITC, which is a subsidiary of Hyundai Steel. The company in its labor contract with the union of regular full-time workers said that it'll pay incentives and bonuses to the full-time workers who retired that year. So the bonus and incentives from the year before. So the company followed suit and paid the money to those who retired. However, the problem is that they didn't do the same. They didn't give the contract workers who retired on the very same day the same bonuses. So the contract workers then filed a discrimination suit saying that this qualifies as an act of discrimination under the pertinent law. So both the regional and central labor committees said that, yes, indeed, this is an act of discrimination. However, the company disagreed and took it all the way to the administrative court.
However, the court also saw this as an act of discrimination.
Right, and this is a very important ruling that might resonate or have ramification into other companies as well. The court said there was no justifiable reason for not giving contract workers incentives and bonuses. Because here's the thing, they did sign a contract with the union of unionized full-time workers saying that they will give them incentives, but this was not exclusive. It wasn't to the exclusion of the contract workers. So basically, just because you signed a contract with one group doesn't mean you have to exclude the other group from the same bonuses and incentives. That this was not grounds for excluding non-unionized workers from the same benefits.
Oh, so this case might have far-reaching consequences for other fields and workers as well. All right, for now, we're going to move on and talk about the U.S. Department of Education, which has quietly pulled its guidance for students who need help with English.
Right. So this is regarding the ESL classes, English as Second Language classes. So the U.S. Department of Education, akin to the Education Ministry, it has rescinded guidelines for schools to help students who are learning English as a second language. This is according to American reports. So the guidelines laid out how to identify, number one, identify students who are learning English and how to help them learn English.
Sure.
Because federal law actually requires that schools do help students learn English and understand academic content. However, the department spokesperson told the media outlet that guidance for teaching English learners has rescinded because, quote, it's not in line with the administration's policy. So this is against federal law. So they're going to really have to work out the legality of it. And then previously, the department also laid off almost the entirety of the workforce in the Office of English Language Acquisition. And then also asked Congress to basically cut federal funding for teaching English learners and immigrant students. So data varies by state because immigration numbers are vastly different depending on what state you're looking at. But California, one of the more immigrant-heavy states, a third of the students do take ESL classes. Right, so this is definitely a major demographic.
Yes.
And this is unfortunately seen as a part of the administration's general anti-immigration policy and kind of sends out the message to families and students, unless you are already at least proficient, if not fluent in English, you cannot be educated in the American public school system. The administration has also included for older students, perhaps college students, extra steps like social media vetting for non-immigrant visas and pressured universities to reduce their international student registration.
That's right. So that's a snapshot of what's happening there. Next, let's turn to this story. A massive corruption scandal has broken out of China with an unprecedented amount of cash found at a home. I want to know how much.
So you know how we usually count cash by dollar amounts or, won or currency? We're counting by tons. I gotta weigh it. 3 tons.
Tons of money? Like literally?
Literal tons of money.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't be too excited because this person's No.
Okay.
Well, it's a corruption case.
Okay.
So a former public official who was in charge of IPOs, initial public offerings in the Chinese stock market, was found to have stashed 3 tons or $2.3 million in cash at his home. So this official is Yang Zhanghong, who's the former director of issuance supervision at the Department of the China Securities Regulatory Commission. IPOs for startups called basically the Chinese NASDAQ.
Okay.
But apparently he was a very powerful figure, sometimes nicknamed the Grim Reaper of stocks because what he says, just his words, could determine whether a company could be publicly listed or not. So he could make or break a company. Interestingly, though, this guy resigned from that public position 9 years ago, but received preferential treatment and bought unlisted stocks of companies that were about to go public. That's called insider trading. He also faces corruption charges, but has apparently long used allegedly borrowed names or proxies to evade authorities for years.
Okay.
Again, accumulating 3 tons of cash. Right. By the way, $2.3 million, apparently roughly 58 billion won. The authorities couldn't even count the money all at once. There was just so much. And by the way, money rots. And I don't mean that as in like corruption, rotten money, like figuratively.
Like
it
literally?
Apparently, depending on humidity and because it has banknotes have like cotton and paper. So depending on humidity and temperature, there was a really horrible stink of like rotting money. And I guess I do mean that figuratively and physically as well. By the way, his party membership, of course, has been revoked. He faces audits and investigations. And pundits say that the Chinese government will likely make an example out of this case.
So when, the phrase goes like, I have a ton of money, but he had like 3 tons.
He literally had 3 tons of money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end it on that wowzer of a story for Waga Waga, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, everybody, let's get to your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic right now. Let's talk about Gwangan Bridge. That top portion, it's congested once again. There's backup on Manduk-dero from Manduk Tunnel number 2 to Manduk intersection. Also, Gaya-dero looking backed up from Kaegum to Jure intersection. It's also looking slow on Yeonsuro from Suyong to Mangmi intersection. Currently, it is 30 degrees Celsius under sunny skies here in Busan. The daytime high will go up to 32. There is a chance of showers in the afternoon. And I do see a little bit of clouds, at least a little bit here in Centum right now. Busan City is under a special heat wave report, 폭염특보. Across the country, rain with up to 50 millimeters per hour rain in some parts of Gyeonggi, Chungcheong, and Jeonbuk. But the heat will persist. Throughout the day, some areas are going to see 34 degrees Celsius today. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for a special interview. The African Union has joined this Correct the Map campaign, urging public institutions to move away from the 16th century Mercator projection, which distorts the size of Africa. Advocates are calling for the adoption of what's called the Equal Earth projection, which more accurately represents the continent's true proportions. So today we're going to explore what these projections are, the challenges of adopting the Equal Earth projection, and how it could reshape the way Africa is perceived globally. Well, we're going to invite Professor Lindsay Frederick Braun, who's an assistant professor of history at the University of Oregon, to be on air with us. Let's say hi first. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hi, Catherine.
Yes, so Professor, if you could briefly explain what exactly is the Mercator projection? What is it? And how does it distort the actual size of, most of the continents, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I think first we have to sort of lay down two basic facts. First one's going to be pretty obvious to everybody that hears it. The second one that falls on it, not as much so. First of all, it's impossible, proven mathematically in 1827, it is impossible to accurately represent a round object on a flat surface. So you can't actually make a truly accurate map, but at the same time, all maps to a certain degree are kind of accurate. So that's pretty obvious. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the argument over projections. The other, though, is that map makers have to decide what things they want to be accurate. And it comes down to a struggle between precision and representative accuracy of shapes and directions. And angles called conformality or conformal versus correct proportions. And that's the battle that we're seeing here. You can have a little of each, but you can never entirely have both. So, or you can try to have all one or all the other. And there are ways to make some distortions of land areas look less blatant, like breaking up the map or changing the distance between latitudes or making a curved shape on the paper. But that harms other elements of the representation.
I see. Thanks for explaining. Go on.
Sorry. Mercator's model.
Yes.
The sort of classic mathematical model, as you said, from the 16th century, that preserves directions of travel and shapes to address a problem from that time up into the 20th century, navigation, so ships. And Mercator didn't care about distortion of areas because that wasn't its purpose. So the choices that the map maker makes are based on the purpose of the map. And to get that, he basically conceptually through mathematics unrolls the sphere onto the sheet and spreads it out so that the shapes are correct sort of internally, but the size is all wrong. So that's ultimately what he has. And so most of Africa in the tropical world is close to the equator. And so it's actually kind of correct in proportions, ironically. But everything, the further away you get from the equator, is outsized. So for the example that many people use, Africa is 14 times the size of Greenland, but Greenland looks about the same size on the map or even larger. Maybe a more relevant example is that Iceland is about the same size as the Republic of Korea. So yet on the map, Iceland looks to be about 3 times the size.
Right.
So it's you can sort of see what that is. And they made that sacrifice kind of actively for the purposes of that map.
Yes. So talking about that map, you said earlier, Professor, that it was all about navigation back in the 16th century. So I'm kind of wondering, like, why has it not been updated, or why are we still using, the Mercator projection instead?
Yeah, we've modified it in various ways to kind of limit the, there are a number of transformations you can do and other projections that are not equal area, but limit that distortion. So it has been modified over time. And for areas smaller than the whole world, certainly Mercator is used, really, it's the very best projection if you're talking about like an area where the UN's operating in the Eastern Congo. They still use that because the distortion is low, but you can't get away from that distortion. And I think a lot of the reason those maps are used is it's simple inertia. It's implied that, historically that this is the map that people took in education and empire and nationalism became popular. That was what was available and ascendant. And that's what was pushed out to the colonized world by Europe, the United States, and even in other parts of the world too.
Yes.
So part of why it has had that staying power is because people sort of subconsciously think, oh, that's what the world looks like.
Right.
It's not a campaign really, but yeah. But even as early as the 50s and the 60s, before that, in fact, in the 19th century, geographers were saying we can't keep using this map for purposes it was never meant for.
Yes.
Better projection. And when I was in school in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they were replacing them with the Robinson projection and the Eckert projection, and many of which are similar to Equal Earth, but they are still they were not equal area maps.
Yes. And so I do want to get into kind of what, you've already mentioned Equal Earth, obviously, but what exactly is Equal Earth projection?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Equal Earth projection, it is, in a sense, it's a response to a heavily promoted map projection called Peters. Promoted heavily since the early 70s,
right?
And adopted by a fair number of school districts and institutions as an equal area corrective. But to a lot of people, it looks like wrong Mercator. It looks like because it really compresses the north and the south, and it stretches out the lower latitudes in order to get that equal area representation. And so it has that kind of issue. It's not pleasing to the eye. It doesn't fit with the brain. And so the cartographers who came up with it, Savage, Jenny, and Patterson, they came up with it in 2017 and 2018 as an alternative. They designed their own equation to create this projection to get a map that is aesthetically pleasing, but also to release it to the public so that you can go and you can get this map with a number of areas possibly centered in different languages, showing different names for things, or you can download the data to do the transformation yourself and make your own maps.
I see.
Really want. And so that was their solution. They found nothing they liked, and so they produced it. And it was successful enough and ready for the internet age in a way that most older maps aren't, that people latched onto it. And its design purpose is meant to be informational and educational from the start. It's designed to be accessible and flexible. I mean, anybody listening to this can go to the equal-earth.com website and download it in, I'm pretty sure it's available, in pretty much every language I know. I see. There was one available in Zulu for a while, so but it's it may still be, but it's it is in fact it's so much more natural than even the Mercator or any of its potential replacements that the creators of the ArcGIS mapping program refer to it as pleasing, and they don't use those adjectives lightly.
I see.
Professional groups producing software. So, and it's not distorted enough that it is not usable for physical maps and for other kinds of instruction. So it's not just for political maps, and it doesn't look like an agenda-laden map. It's different enough that it looks familiar, but it's not like wrong Mercator.
I see. Well, I do want to get to the juxt of our, our interview today. The African Union, as I said in the intro, has joined this Correct the Map campaign. So why is the African Union making this push right now? What are they hoping to achieve?
Yeah, the AU and the OAU that preceded it have been active in issues of representational accuracy for a long time, and about Africa's position in the world, but also these ideas of decolonization of thought and education, as well as unity, which the Equal Earth is attractive to the AU because it promotes this sort of thinking of the Earth as a globe. It has rounded edges, so it makes people think about that, and it also allows you to show comparability in Africa's place in the world, and it doesn't have that baggage, that psychological baggage of being a map brought from empire.
I see.
Map for navigation, for the taking of people and goods. So in addition to that, the momentum of Equal Earth and Correct the Map right now is it's very attractive. It seems possible that they can lend their voice in a constructive way. The AU can adopt it for world maps, and I'm sure they effectively will if they haven't already. But adding their voice to that it's a powerful incentive. And I also blame Google. To a certain degree, because as I mentioned before, Mercator was kind of dying out around 2000.
Yes.
In 2005, Google Maps brought it back. They use a slightly different version called Web Mercator.
I see.
Still the standard, and with the proliferation of smartphones and tablets, which you can't switch to showing a globe the way you can a desktop computer. There is a concern that another set of new generations is being inculcated with this older world representation. It doesn't pick when you zoom down, of course, they fix that. But when you zoom out, that's what you see.
Yes. I see. And, to wrap up our discussion today, Professor, do you think international organizations, for example, the UN, should the UN adopt the Equal Earth projection as a standard, or do you have another alternative?
I mean, it's any equal area projection, I think, would be an improvement. But Equal Earth has the advantage that it doesn't really severely distort things. And if you look at the UN, if you download a political world map from the United Nations itself, I'm pretty sure it's an Equal Earth projection. They never say, but it's like it. I haven't gotten up to it with a ruler. But the World Bank, NASA, the National Geographic Society, they use it actively, and many others have switched to it or distribute some maps with it with very little fanfare. And so I think we're closer to that incremental step into it than we think. But ultimately, organizations will decide what projections to use for maps of the world or of specific areas. And I tend to think that they should give this a serious look. I mean, it really is one of the more attractive and also accessible and modifiable and flexible platforms for an equal area map that can really stand to kind of build a sense of proportion and unity and globality and get away from the old psychological baggage of our Mercator friend, which is still useful if you're taking a sailboat around the world.
But we're going to call it a wrap for today. Thank you so much for explaining this whole issue to our listeners. We do appreciate your time and expertise. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
This was Professor Lindsay Frederick Braun, and we talked about, obviously, the Mercator map as well, but the Equal Earth projection or the Correct the Map campaign. So will we see more of these types of maps in use? And I don't know, when you pull up a map, do you know which map you're using? And now every time I'm going to have to check. So this was your special interview. We're going to take a song break. This is Wait a Minute by Willow.
Hold on, wait tear apart me. But I broke my word, and you are bound to see. And I cried at the curb where you first said, "Well, natika me." Hold on, wait a minute. Feel my heart's intention. Hold on, wait a minute. I left my consciousness in the sixth dimension. Left my soul in his vision. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. Some people like to live. Some just trying to get by. Some people like that hurt. Some just rather say goodbye. Bye. Hold on, wait a minute. Feel my heart's intention. Hold on, wait a minute. I left my consciousness in the sixth dimension. Left my soul in his vision. Let's go get it. Let's go get it.
Welcome back, everybody. What a great tune. That was Wait a Minute by Willow. Text topic, what's your tip for learning a foreign language, or what would you like to improve on was the topic today. And Benny says, put your attention on diction. Diction, like enunciating, pronouncing things really, I guess, well, slowly. That might be one way. And William says this, living in an area where the language you want to learn is spoken. My neighborhood is equal parts Spanish and English speakers, and I've enjoyed improving on my conversational Spanish. Ooh, habla español? Very good. William, that's a great tip. Yeah, you're never going to improve on a language if you don't use it on a regular basis. And I think that, it's a common question that I get asked, and I'm sure Bonnie later on, everybody asks, like, oh, how do I improve my, my English is a common question that is posed. And you know what, though? If you don't practice, if you are afraid, and if you don't put yourself out there, 그냥 해보셔야 돼요, especially with the speaking, right? I know people here in Korea are so good at like the grammar, reading comprehension. 너무 다 잘하잖아요. 그 말하기가 좀 힘들 수도 있습니다. So you just got to practice. All right, we're going to get to Bonnie and her segment, so I'll be back with her in just a moment. It's time for Simply Sustainable. We have Bonnie in the house. Bonnie, what were you saying off air?
That music, I feel like I'm on a game show.
The Price is
always
Right.
Getting ready. Yeah, I'm like,
Come
ready.
on down.
Ready.
So, what about you? What would you say? Like, what's a great tip for learning like a foreign language, whether it's English or a different language or...
So I know everybody always says practice, speak, and I think that's so true.
Yes.
But I also equally think listening to that language too, getting your ear used to whatever language that is, and even if you don't understand it yet, your ear will still take it in and recognize what's correct and what's not correct. So whatever you're learning, just have it on in the background, listen to songs, watch movies, TV shows, whatever you're watching, watch it in that language also.
People always say though, they always say, 언제 들려요? Like, does it happen suddenly? People ask.
Slowly. I think it's like a slow baby step thing. Yeah.
All right, great tip. What do you have for us today?
Okay, I'm so excited about the topic today because I just finished up the closing of the Busan Blue Planet Future Festival was last night, and it was going on for 5 days right here in our backyard in Busan Cinema Center. And I just think this event is so inspiring and eye-opening. It's different than other film festivals because I feel like it doesn't have it's not the glitz and glam that's important. It's like really about the cause. So everybody that attends and goes to it, I just felt like was really there because they cared about this topic. So in honor of that, I'm going to be reviewing my own list of environmental documentaries or movies that I feel like really could inspire you and move you and have had some sort of impact on me.
Okay.
And so I think documentaries just really find a way to speak to people, to a mass of people that sometimes just, maybe someone like me just preaching to them doesn't do. So I really love all of these movies. And I have to start off with the opening film of the festival, which was Jane Goodall's Reason for Hope. And this was it was short, only 45 minutes, but it was so inspiring because unlike other documentaries, it wasn't really harking on the dangers or the harms or the negatives of climate change.
Yes.
It really focused on the hope. So reasons that we have to hope that there still is a chance that we can save this world. And she really highlighted some people all around the world that are doing their part in making big change on the planet. So it was very inspiring. It was really motivational, and it really told the story that if everybody could give a little bit of help, then we can make a big, big change. So love her, love the story.
Okay.
I also want to mention the closing film. Actually, this movie won the grand prize of the Blue Planet Future Festival, and it's called Savannah and the Mountain by Paulo Carneiro. And it's about a village in northern Portugal that resisted a British company who planned to build Europe's largest open pit lithium mine. So the story was kind of how the community united and they really resisted the change. And this is kind of, I think, reflective of a lot of places in the world that kind of get overtaken by big corporate companies that want to come and drill and mine. But this little town came together and they stood up to them, and it was really, really inspiring. Loved this one.
And the thing is that when you talk about these types of stories and you talk about little towns and communities, sometimes it's really much easier to roll over and just say yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's the honest truth, right?
Yes, and that was a big component because,
there's money.
There's always money. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always money. So it's very inspiring to see people that are like, no, instead of the money, we want to preserve our community. We want to preserve the place that we grew up and the way of life, really. And they said, well, part of the movie, they're like, oh, well, this is going to bring in so much more traffic.
Sure.
Like the cafes are empty. They're going to bring people. But then they thought, well, yeah, but then you're going to sacrifice. We're not going to have clean water. Our crops are not, we can eat the vegetables right now, right out of our garden. Once this mine comes in, we're going to have to, we can't even wash off all the chemicals that are going to be there.
True.
So there's a little give and take, a big sacrifice for that money. Or maybe that, the growth that we think is more beneficial for us.
Sure.
So yeah, love that theme.
Yes.
The next movie, it was actually the opening film 2 years ago, but this had a profound effect on me because it's called Legacy, and this is by Jan Arthus Bertrand, and he actually wasn't at the film festival because he had an opening statement because he's so committed to his legacy of an environmental activist.
Right.
He doesn't fly, doesn't take airplanes
at all.
So he couldn't come. And actually that's kind of the same as a lot of people involved in the film festival, that they didn't come because they're so committed that they don't take airplanes. They don't fly.
Footprints.
Yeah. So I thought that was so inspiring that he opened the film with that. But he's directed a lot of different kind of environmental documentaries, and he's an amazing photographer, nature photographer and videographer. So he's done Home, which is another documentary that was released in 2009. And Legacy is kind of told through a series of incredible videos that he shot and from all around the world. And it kind of shows the story of how we have changed, how the world has changed.
Okay.
So from the beginning of time, how we've started off from like small town farming and then what it is now. But the shots are just incredible. And it leaves you with this message of what kind of legacy do we want to leave on this planet as humans? Do we want to leave it being like, oh, we helped this planet. We did something that is going to leave it better off, or is it going to be a legacy of destruction? So very beautifully done.
Yes.
The next one, I love this next one. Now we're going into the ocean-themed documentaries.
Okay.
This is Chasing Coral, and it's a 2017 documentary filmed on a team of divers, scientists, and photographers trying to document the disappearance of coral reefs. So during this film, they're trying to capture why the coral reefs are dying, and through that, they face a lot of different challenges during the filming of it. And you get to see how much that like heart and effort they're really putting into this film, because every single challenge they find some way to overcome it. They don't give up, and the final takes that they have at the very end, I kid you not, it makes me cry every single time. And during the film premiering, you'll see people in the audience and they're just brought to tears, because when you see the devastation, the drastic change from what coral reefs look like, and then just a few months what they turn into when they die, when they bleach. When you see that change, really, and the beautiful film that they got.
Yes.
It's really, really gut-wrenching. So the final takes in it are really amazing, but very beautiful story of this team.
Coral.
Yes. The next one, another ocean-themed one, A Plastic Ocean, was also released in 2017. And this one goes into a deep dive into the world of plastics. So, I love this one. This was a little shocking, though, because even this, being someone who knows, I think, a lot about plastics and the harms, there are some couple shocking truths in this film that I found as well. And one powerful takeaway I remember is they did a study on dolphins, because it's hard to see how plastics affect human health, because there are so many different factors. So they did a test on dolphins, tested a little bit of the dolphin blubber, and they found the chemical components of plastic in their blubber. So the main thing that dolphins eat, of course, is fish.
Yes.
So they can conclude that the reason the plastics are in the dolphin fat is because of the fish they eat, telling us that when we also eat lots of fish or we eat marine life, then also the plastics come into us as well.
Sure.
So very shocking truths in this documentary, but very, very interesting. And I think you would take a lot away from it.
Okay.
Next one, I also saw this next one at the Busan Blue Planet Film Festival a couple years ago, and it's called The Recycling Myth. And this one also, lots of shocking, stunning truths here, because they follow some of the plastics that we think are going to get recycled, and they actually follow them and put like a little tracking chip in them to see really where they go.
Okay.
Are they really getting recycled?
Yes.
And where they end up will shock you. Even me, I was very surprised. And so it's kind of like the undercover film about where like these plastics are really going, what countries are really doing with them, how some countries are even selling off this plastic to get destroyed instead of actually recycled.
Yes.
So it'll give you another take on, or make you think twice before you start recycling, and make you maybe think, how can I reduce my trash or my waste instead of just trying to recycle everything.
Oh, interesting take.
Yes. Very, very interesting. That one's called The Recycling Myth. I really suggest everybody watch that one. Next, this next one had a really big impact on me, because I watched this and this is the reason I went vegetarian.
Oh, really?
Yes, over 10 years ago.
Okay.
This is called Cowspiracy, and it's the sustainability secret. It's directed by Kip Anderson, who has done a lot of expose kind of movies. And it's very like, I think he's so brave, because you see how someone who makes movies, actually their lives can be in danger, because they're uncovering some truths that big corporations don't want you to know. So he kind of lays his life on the line, and you'll see how through the film he comes into dangerous moments, and he almost, gets threatened into not making this film, but obviously it does get made. So very controversial, and lots of truths about the industry of, agriculture and the meat industry. So very, very interesting. And like I said, it can have a very big impact on you thinking how the industry works.
Yes.
Different than what you might think. So love any of his movies. And also he has a couple other ones that I want to mention, because he does them, because they're exposés, but they're not all just like really serious and dark. They're kind of motivating and very funny as well. So take a look at What the Health also, and Seaspiracy. Seaspiracy, I will say, very interesting, because I used to think fish and seafood, not that big of an impact, or not as much as fish and or not as much as chicken and meat. But this movie will make you think differently, especially because we live here in the port city and there's lots of seafood around us. It will make you see that there are things underlying the fishing industry that we don't see, that you might, rethink your plate next time.
Okay.
Next is Milked, also a truth on the dairy industry, focusing in New Zealand. So it's about the agricultural destruction of the industry and how the dairy industry actually does have a huge impact on the world as well, especially, with the Amazon and how much of the land we actually take away and how much of the trees we actually burn just for the dairy industry in itself. This next one is really fun because it's the only fiction film on here, but it is Okja.
Oh, this one I've seen.
Of course,
Many
by
people have.
Bong Joon-ho, who was who's famous for Parasite, but also a lot of his films always have some sort of deep underlying message in them.
Social message.
Yes, so we love Bong Joon-ho for that. So this film follows a young girl and her relationship with this animal, and I want to say it's kind of like a cross between like a pig and an elephant.
It's like a pig and elephant, or pig or hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus,
yeah.
But a fictional animal, right? But still, you start to also create like a little relationship also, and you see how their bond kind of grows.
Right.
But this movie, when I first moved to Korea, I said I hadn't watched this movie, and people were like, "What? You care about the environment? This is like so up your alley. You have to see this." And I realized why, because it's a touching story, but it really does shed light on how the industry of capitalists and consumers really affects animals and how we view animals, not just as food and a life source, but also, as companions on this planet.
Yes, we have time for maybe one more.
Okay. The last one I'm going to say, this is inspiring. I'm going to end you with an inspiring. The Biggest Little Farm.
The Biggest Little Farm.
This one is a 2018 American documentary about a couple who gives up that corporate business life and they go to kind of start their own little farm, and they're definitely like trying to do their best, and they're determined to do it without any chemicals, not the pesticides. They're trying to do it the natural way.
Right.
But they obviously come up with all these challenges.
I'm sure.
But the message of the whole film is that nature always has an answer, that nature always knows. So it's really inspiring and motivating to see, oh, wow, if we just trust in nature and just trust in the environment, it can really help us and it can really bring life back to us. So all we need to do is just trust a little bit and not, if we are patient and don't resort to all the chemicals and things, then nature will have a way.
All right. Well, thank you for going over all these documentaries and films that may tug at your heartstrings, definitely, have good social messages, and it might change you in ways that you never imagined.
Yes, they definitely did for me.
Well, thank you so much, Bonnie. We do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody, this was Simply Sustainable with Bonnie. Well, I know it's been a really busy news day, and I do wish you the best. We'll have details to follow regarding all the summit has to offer. For today, though, we have 이 밤이 지나면 by 임재범 to take us out. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
단둘이 앉아서 그대 모습을 바라보고만 있네. 사랑스런 그대 눈가에 슬픈 한 줄기 눈물이 흘러 나의 마음을 아프게만 하는데 이 밤이 지
한국 전쟁 당시